This guy, the Shep, what a guy. I mean, when Degrassi decided to go a new direction for authority figures in season 8, it just went down the drain, especially with the fact that the Next Generation cast all had basically graduated. So a new era was up and running, and a new era of trouble. This is the Shep. Don't put him anywhere near my sheep. So anyway, not too much background of the character happened before season 8, but allegedly he was the principal at Lakehurst, and since Lakehurst had their school burned down during winter break of a school year that basically was season 7 of Degrassi, he didn't join Degrassi as a teacher or anybody. I think basically he was okay in effect. But in season 8, he came in. He became the new principal after Daphne Hatzilakos decided to go to Saskatchewan to deal with her ailing mother and was ready to take Peter. But Peter didn't want to leave for Saskatchewan. He wanted to finish his schooling in Toronto. And he managed to get himself emancipated. In a sense, his dad would pay for an apartment for him to live in. Of course, Peter would have troubles, but that's neither here or there or anywhere. So anyway, in season 8, he's the new principal, Mickerty Shepherd. His name is spelled Mikerty. What the hell is that? I know Michael or Mike or Mikal, but like, fuck. So anyway, the Shep was not really your typical principal, to say the least. The fact of the matter is he was easily influenced by Lakehurst's environment and not Degrassi's environment. It's evident when he basically uses his power to try to get at students to basically make them do favors and all that. He was always kinder to jocks and, party people other than the nerds and all of them. And it's not just the Degrassi people, the people that he didn't teach at Lakehurst. Sav, who was actually part of Lakehurst before. Was he a part of Lakehurst before? I think he was. I can't remember. But anyway, Sav was upset that the Shep, without an election, named Holly J as student council president, mostly because of her popularity and all that. Sav is basically told that he can be the vice president, but I think it was just by his silence. However, he was just terrible in a sense. But one of his frequent targets was the gifted class. He seemed to have a bone to pick with the new gifted class. Connor, Allie, Casey, and Claire, among others. He was upset that Claire would actually eat food outside of the cafeteria and all that, and would sing in the cafeteria and all that. So basically, he picked on them. And it all came to a head when Connor's lamp trips up Shep. Shep gets mad and gives him detention. And then when the whole class decides to go against Shep and get lamps and all that, he throws the book at all of them. Of course, Connor's issues happen and all that. The Shep kicks him out. I mean, I can understand why he kicked Connor out because of the fact that, Connor was a danger and he needed to get him out and all that. Like, Connor's still with Simpson and all them. And then basically, then came the news that a lot of people were dreading, was that he was going to be named Principal of the Year. It's like, what? Hang on a minute. The last school year, he was only principal for half a year, but didn't follow the Lakehurst students into Degrassi. And it's like, wait a minute, how come he gets the award? But my theory is that, well, there's a double theory. But anyway, my theory is that it was supposed to be for Hatzilakos. But since Hatzelackles left, they decided to give it to the next principal instead of having another vote and seeing who should get it. I feel like, you know, they're just stupid. I mean, they could have just held it up and then just said, well, prove to us you're principal of the year. But I think he probably did it because he put a football team at the school. Are you nuts just for that? Anyway, speaking of the football team, Shep didn't help matters when the Degrassi football team, basically, he shunned Jane and all that. He basically didn't protect Jane from the other players who didn't like Jane on the team. And then when Jane becomes a hero for Degrassi, he basically gets the rah rah mentality and thanks Jane for all her efforts. What a jerk. So, regardless of what happened, basically, in the end, he gets to get to class to do a video on him. So they follow him around, and then basically Claire decides to stand up to Shep and basically tells him, why are you dealing with Connor this way? Kids with autism don't deserve this. And he calls her a little bitch. I just don't trust that guy so much. He's two-faced in a sense. So basically, they do the Principal of the Year awards thing, and then the video comes up, and they don't cut out the part where Shep gets caught using derogatory language towards his students. And basically, Claire doesn't like it one bit. Well, Shep figures something was wrong. He knew he was in trouble, but unfortunately, he got caught. Basically, the school decides to walk out on him for his misogynistic behavior and all that. They all wanted to get rid of Shep because of his policies, especially with thinking that nerds are not that great. So anyway, the Shep decides to try to be better. But unfortunately, the Shep doesn't attempt to be better by himself. He's forced to. They basically kick him to the curb and put him in sensitivity training for the time being. Ali's dad actually told Ali that it was hard to replace Shep, even though Shep was inept. So basically, they decide to put him in sensitivity training, and Simpson will take over. So Simpson had a taste of being a principal before season 10. So anyway, he invites the honors the gifted class to the thing, and Connor basically is back. The school board decides to reinstate Connor after they talk to Claire about her role. Shep comes back after a few episodes. Basically, a lot of people have hatred towards him, and he recognizes that. He basically says that, I'm willing to take a second chance, and I'm hoping Jane will be back on the football team if she wants to. So basically, he's a little bit more mellow in a sense. But in the end, it was too little too late. As his ineptness, combined with the fact that Peter was going off the rails without his mom in Toronto. Well, he's in Toronto, she's in Saskatchewan. Hatzelackles finds out about Peter's drug problems from Mia and basically stays with Peter and basically knows that Peter shouldn't be by himself and all that. So she basically moves in with Peter, and she's named principal again at Degrassi, and she does a good job. And then after that, she decides to hand the keys to Simpson, and thus the new generation has been born. Now, of course, you can figure he's a douchebag and all that. And why the hell would he be like that? Heck, I named him in 2020 as my worst principal of the year. Although a couple years ago I said Pill, but I think the Shep. The Shep lasted longer than Pill. And he was still inept. He had a chance to redeem himself. He failed. Good riddance to bad rubbish. So anyway, I like the fact that he tried. But unfortunately, in the end, it was just all too much. All that favoritism towards students was not really that good. Heck, the other 4 principals didn't use favoritism towards their students. And of course, when I talk about the 4 principals, I'm talking about after Next Generation, because the principals in Degrassi High and Junior High were both unseen, despite the fact that you're thinking Ratch was the principal in Degrassi High. No, he wasn't. He was the No, he wasn't. He was the vice principal, and he said it. So anyway, when it comes down to it, it's like, is the Shep the worst principal ever? And somebody actually did a Reddit post, excuse me, about it. Night Angels said the worst principal is going to be the Shep, the homophobist, misogyny, the way he treated Jane when she was on the football team, the way he treated the Niners. He was a dick and a half. Lots of people have something. Apple Pawns, one of my contributors, says that I don't consider the Shep to be an actual principal. He's a cartoon character. The writers wrote in. And I think that's a girl, said that it's either hot sauce or Snake being the worst principal. Because basically her son Peter had immunity after spreading child pornography with the Many I'm Going to Be Famous video, as well as the street racing incident and framing other students with drugs, causing him to be jailed. Now, in all honesty, with this, I mean, Simpson actually said that he was going to talk to Hansel Eccles to reinstate Sean, or basically to kick Peter to the curb after the drug story, after Emma relayed the story that Peter framed Sean. But Sean said, don't worry about it. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. And basically, Snake says, being permissive to the point that he lost all control of the student body. Then cracking down hard, causing undue stress to students by recording pointless uniforms. So basically, he kept losing control of his students one way or the other. Possibly. That's a little bit hard. Placement and all that. Yeah, I think Simpson, I don't like to say bipolar, but I think he's bipolar in the sense of his actions as principal. He's either the great principal that basically is trying to change how education is, or the hard-ass principal who basically only punishes his students to save his job. Really. Yeah, a lot of people said that Simpson lost control and all that. Yeah. I even commented on the worst principal when someone said, what about Radich? And I said, actually, he had little choice because there were no criminal charges pressed on Rick. There was a post a while ago that talked about why Rick was allowed back into Degrassi and the logistics behind it. In short, it was because the incident was off school grounds and there would have been too much paperwork. And of course, as I keep saying that, what if Terry's dad or Spinner or Page had pressed criminal charges? They would have been in court, but Rick probably would have had a lawyer that would have tried to dissect Terry's problems, saying that she had a coma and she may have had memory loss. But what if she remembered everything? Yeah. Yeah. Basically, someone says he treated Connor terribly. The Shep. Yeah. You're a little bitch. Yeah. People were talking about how every principal had their shortcomings and all that. He was a creep. Somebody even talked about Principal Lawrence being the worst principal of school. But of course, remember, since Next Generation, he said that basically the school was falling apart. Junior high caught fire because of his failing furnace, and the failing fire alarm system happened. And then one person said that it's a credit to Radich for being as a school administrator, because the community school was into a well-run and up-to-date institution. Yeah. Yeah, basically, Shep called Holly J a hot little number and all that. Yeah, basically, he was creepy towards Mia. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, he was just misogynistic. And this is like 2008, I think? Yeah, season 1 started in 01. So basically, yeah, season 8 was 2008. Just finished college at that time. Okay, so, and then I did a thing called The Greatest Ego of All 5 Degrassi Principals. Who in your mind had the greatest ego as a principal? I said. My vote is Shep because of how he wanted jocks and public people in school while ignoring the smart kids. I know Pill, Radish, and Snake had ego-inducing moments. Maybe Hatzalako's, not too sure. I didn't get a lot of people talking about it. Ice Phoenix hated Shep because he was the worst principal besides Radish. And Night Angel said, wasn't Miss Pill supposed to be temporary anyway? And I said, it wasn't 100% that Simpson would have returned. Because you got to remember, at that time, there were rumors that Degrassi was going to end at season 14. They do this nice show called, the episode called Finally. And then, it's basically We Love Degrassi and all that. And it looked like a good series finale. And then they did that stupid summer movie, and then Tristan announced that you think things are bad. What about the new class? And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. All that for nothing? Yeah, so like, and Simpson came back, mostly because Stephen Brogan was an executive producer. Someone said Shep was like nails on a chalkboard. A lot of people agreed with me on that one, saying Shep was the worst. And I totally agree. I mean, I also want to say, I might as well just do it at the tail end of this video and not make a new one. But all the principals had ego-inducing moments. Raj's ego-inducing moment basically was the shooting, because after the shooting, the school was now on the 6 o'clock news for all the wrong reasons. And basically, Raj knew that he fucked up. He's not talking to Rick. I mean, he did try to protect Rick by sending him home, and that deleted scene would have helped him become a better person. At least he was trying. He did a 180. And who knows what the results of that 180 would have been. But unfortunately, the problem with him is that when it comes down to it, he didn't do a lot for his students. Basically, it was evident in the song that Liberty and JT wrote about him, saying that how he was a freaking tyrant and all that. And the problem is, why didn't he get the answers? And most important of all, why didn't he remember that he wanted Spinner to talk to him? Because if that had happened, Spinner definitely would have spilled the beans on Jay. Maybe not Alex, but And then Raj, even if he gets kicked to the curb, Raj basically goes out with a bang, because at least he found answers and gave Hatzalakos the keys to the school in a better sense. Yeah, Hatzalakos had an ego too. A mother ego, if you will. Because I mean, like, she's trying to protect her son, even though that things look bad. After all, Peter did distribute child pornography, aka Manny's topless video. He did frame Sean for drugs. He did get involved in that street racing accident and all that. Basically, yeah, Peter got away with more than he should have. Peter got away with, like, getting that guy to be with Darcy, Adams. It's like, geez, what's going on? I mean, she got a little bit better, but, still. And Chris Simpson with his ego and all that, about him trying to do so well. Now, I think Simpson's ego is also because of the school board. I think the school board basically threatens him almost every day with elimination and all that. And Simpson tries to please his overlords and all that. I kind of think that the school board is pretty much why Simpson overreacts and all that. I should really make that a Cutter's Degrassi unpopular opinion thing about season 10 and the school board. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, write that down. And I will write that down and tape it soon. Also, you got, Pill. Yes, Pill really had an ego and all that, especially with the cameras. I mean, okay, there's cameras without audio, and that works, but the cameras with the audio so she can hear everything that's going on, and basically try to help students out. Okay, she wants to help students out, fine. But that's the wrong way of doing it. Claire basically blasts the camera. She gets in trouble. She loses her spot for valedictorian, and Connor gets it. Maybe Pill picked Connor because Connor hasn't ticked her off and all that. Who knows? Yeah, Pill had an ego. And she did. She was trying to fix the school and trying to make students play her way or the highway. I mean, the backpacks and the cell phone policy, okay. The cameras policy, okay. But why did you make it audio? If there was no audio, okay, I'll get on board. But then the stupid the no affection policy, or the NAP, if you will. What the fuck? You think affection leads to trouble? How the fuck? And her ego was big in finally season 14, like the last episode, season 14. She basically wanted Drew to out other people, saying that Drew, this is not, you couldn't have done it by yourself. Who helped you? And basically, Drew refused to name names, and then basically he's told that he will not be on stage to get his diploma. He'll get it. And she basically says that I need to make an example out of you so that new students know what not to do. It's like, wait a minute, wasn't she supposed to be temporary? I get it. But the fact of the matter is this. She probably was under the impression that if she did a well enough job, then the school board would be so happy they'll give her the position of Degrassi principal. But unfortunately, she fucked everything up with her ego thing. And did she not realize that Drew's mom was part of the school board, and she would have told her superiors about Pill and the fact that Drew was right about everything, and that, that could have been the last straw. Pill was probably gone. Simpson probably would have been back. But remember, as I said, they probably would have got rid of Degrassi after season 14 for good. But no, they went with next class. Like, ugh. So anyway, yeah, Pill really had a massive ego. If I were to rank them on ego, I would probably say Shep, Pill, Radich, Simpson, Hatzalakos. And all that. Well, from worst to best. So yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about this. And thank you for watching this video, and have yourself a good day.